Hey guys, Colleen here, back with another video. Welcome to my channel, and today I am going to be talking about my concealer collection. It's not a particularly big collection. I do have my preferences in terms of what I like and don't like, but let me just give you some guidelines as to what works for me and my views on concealers and whatnot. Now, if you had seen my previous video on foundations, you would know that I have oily skin, and I also have I am a MAC NC 45, so apparently that's like the shade to be in Trinidad. Like, everybody I know of is a MAC NC 45. But anyways, so the colors basically would be something that would be fitting for someone in that shade range. And then, well, I'll tell you which ones I absolutely love and have repurchased, you know, in case you're looking for a concealer. I say next to a foundation, your concealer can make or break a look. Many times I've seen girls like my shade and they're wearing a concealer that is just way too light, and because of that they have these like very bright halo eyes. It looks a little ridiculous actually. And I remember once going to a MAC store for a launch, and one of the girls there, she's on either NC 45 or NC 50. I think she's a little darker than me, and she was recommending that I use a NC 25 concealer, and I just watched her like, oh girl, you had to be crazy. But I guess to each their own in terms of getting over a goal. In terms of how they like to highlight. For me personally, I like a more natural looking highlight, so obviously is this angle better? Yeah, I guess so. So for me, like a concealer that is a shade or two lighter than my foundation is typically what I go for in terms of, you know, that highlighting and stuff like that. So, and the cool thing about highlighters, hear me highlighters, why I'm so highlight obsessed. The cool thing about concealers, they can do a lot of things. You see, rarely we are born with even skin, perfect skin, so of course concealer is there to mimic perfect skin, you know, flawless skin. You rarely find someone with even skin across, you know, their face. You know, usually they may have a blemish or two. Like, shout out to my pimple there, say hello to my little friend, you know. Yeah, you might have a blemish or redness around the nose area, which is very common, or even like dark circles under the eyes, you know, dullness and stuff like that. So there are concealers and concealer color correctors that you can use to like basically mimic, you know, perfect skin, kind of like get that kind of fake looking like perfection. And you know, a lot of the times the concealers do give that foundation that extra boost. So I will go into, you know, like affordable, easily accessible within Trinidad and Tobago. I'm not sure about the Caribbean. My Caribbean peeps, you could let me know if this is something you can easily get in your country or not. But I know in Trinidad and Tobago, these concealers is like holy grail for a lot of people. and I think a lot of you kind of suspect which one I'm gonna start off with first, because I have so many of them. So let me just, you know, set them up nice so you can see. And it is the LA Girl Pro Conceal. As you can see, I have quite a bit. I had more, of course I gave away a lot, but these are what I use. Alright, and let me just go in order of how I use them. Now, I use, this is Warm Honey. This is what I use to highlight under my eyes, right, down bridge of my nose and whatnot. So this is a couple shades lighter than me, right? I use Toffee, which is a couple shades darker. It's actually my exact shade. I use this to like give extra coverage to a pimple or blemish or something like that, depending on how hyperpigmented that blemish is. If it's not, I typically go for this. If the pigment if the blemish is hyperpigmented, and when I say hyper, for black people, people of color, anything that looks purplish, blue, dark brown, that's the hyperpigmentation I speak of. The best thing to use to counteract that bluish purple undertone is an orange concealer. I know Mark has a peach concealer, but this is really good for people of color particularly. This, and a little bit of this goes a very long way. I just like the brush tip applicator because it's very precise. You really don't waste that much product when you use these bad boys, you know. Just saying, they're very good. I use this yellow concealer. Y'all would have seen it in a couple of my videos. This is to give me the extra boost of brightness under my eyes, especially when I'm going out in the night and you want that more dramatic look to your makeup. This is the bomb.com. In terms of redness, and I particularly have quite a bit of redness around my nose, on my nose area, I would use the green to counteract the red, right, which is very good. And I use this is dark cocoa. I use this to contour with, like a pre-contour, and then I put powder, dark powder over it, depending on the type of foundation that I'm using. You know, I pull this bad boy out and then I set it with a contour powder to get a more dramatic, intense contour cut, you know. That's typically during the night time, you know, when you're taking photos at night and there's flash, and flash tends to wash out your color a bit, so you need to like pack on a little more color to get that pow, right? And the cool thing about these concealers, you can get them in any beauty supply store in Trinidad and Tobago. I know in Wonderful World these cost $20 a piece, so this will not hurt your budget whatsoever. You can buy many. I know the hardest one to get is the orange concealer, so like if you do see it, I would say snag it, because you never know when you may need it to counteract a blemish. You never know. It's very convenient and very handy, and these are particularly good, you know, for the price point, you know, so I would recommend that to anybody. Let me go into the drugstore ones. This is the next one that I particularly am fond of. Let me see, where is the other one? Excuse, the writing has rubbed off on them. But these are the NYX HD Concealers. I wouldn't call these drugstore because you can't really find them in the drugstores in Trinidad and Tobago, probably in the States. So I guess in that regard it's probably drugstore there, but not in Trinidad and Tobago. But these are so good. These are comparable to the Urban Decay Naked Weightless concealers. The consistency and wear of these are so good for the price point, because I think they're like $7 or $8 a pop, and the applicator is quite good. It's not the best, but it's good for, you know, that price point, you know. And I have the yellow again for boosting, you know, a highlight, right? And I use tan to cover my brows when I'm doing my brows. I find this works well. This is an exact match to my skin. And I have nutmeg here, which it's too dark for me. I don't even think I could use it as a bronzer. I think I'll give this to one of my makeup artist friends just to declutter, you know, my collection, because this is just sitting down doing absolutely nothing. But this could probably work on someone who is NC 50, you know, for the brows and stuff like that. But it's really good. Onto more drugstore, actual traditional drugstore. Let me pull them by brand. I have two from Maybelline. One is the Fit Me concealer and I'm in the shade 35 Deep, and this is the Maybelline Super Stay Better Skin concealer, and I'm in the shade Medium. These are two very good concealers. I understand the Fit Me is a dupe for the NARS Radiant Creamy concealer. My only gripe about this concealer is the shade range. It's very limited, and because of that it wouldn't necessarily be the first choice for women of color, you know. So you may have, I know for the deeper skin tones, you certainly have a lot of problems finding a concealer that would be not too drastic for you. I think this is the deepest, and I think that's ridiculous. So Maybelline, I think you really need to like step up your shade range, because chocolate comes in all different colors. Trust me, there's so many shades of chocolate. I think I don't think makeup companies could like really begin to understand the various shades of brown skin, you know. This is another one. This one is really good. This blends like a dream. It does not crease and it does not budge, and it doesn't leave that gray cast that sometimes a concealer could leave behind, you know, that kind of grayish, almost dead kind of look. Doesn't look too cute. No. So those are particularly good. Next brand of foundations, drugstore foundation, hear me, foundations, Colleen, get it together. Concealers, again, drugstore, easily found in Trinidad and Tobago, and I'm sure in the Caribbean, are the L'Oreal True Match, and I have the crayon form, oopsie, and the liquid form. Just go with the, oh gosh, I just dropped one of them, right, as always. So we're gonna edit that one out. Anyhow, so this is the crayon. It's a literal crayon. This is very good for a beginner because it's a twist top. It's easy to use. Mine is, top is worn down, but it's usually a point. It gives very precise application. I would typically say this is more appropriate for oilier skin, because the natural oils from your skin help blend this product, which is rather dry, better than someone with drier skin. I have a friend, Trish, she has dry skin, and she tried this out and she said it was very patchy on hers. So keep that in mind, bear that in mind if you're looking at this in terms of your skin type. She did, however, try the liquid version, which she said is much better for drier skin. Of course, I am in the shade 42, W678. I guess that is the concealer shade it appropriately applies to. It has a brush applicator as opposed to a doe foot. One thing I can say about this concealer though, I don't know if I am possibly maybe allergic to an ingredient or ingredients in this concealer, but this burns like. And my other friend Deidre agreed with me. She tried it too and she said it burns. So I don't know if we are allergic to this or if it's something else. Just tell me in the description below. You know, maybe I'm just allergic to it. So I don't use this and I really need to like get rid of this. But because I've used the brush and dip it, I don't think it's sanitary enough to like give this away. I think I just have to like toss this, you know. And my last set of concealers here are my high-end concealers, right? And I'll just pull and go as I go along. Now this one here is the Clinique Beyond Perfecting Foundation Concealer. As you can tell by the shade, it is way too dark for me even as a foundation. This is golden. I think this would work for someone who's an NC 50, not 45. I think amber is more, my shade, and that would be for foundation. So from there I probably have to go even a shade lighter to get my correct concealer shade. And just to give you an idea of the applicator, it is huge. Now I know they have the bigger bottle of this selling in Nordstrom and Sephora. This is a sample size that I got from Sephora, a deluxe sample, and I think I'll give this to one of my makeup friends, makeup artist friends, to put in a kit. I guess they could get more use out of this with their clientele than I do. I mean, this is neither doing anything for me. I haven't like used it. I just from looking at it I could tell that this is just way off. If you do want to see like a review on this, I know Total Makeup Junkie 101 reviewed this foundation concealer, and she said it was a bit on the orange side, which I tend to agree with her. It looked very orange on her. She looked a little bit like an Oompa Loompa. But I mean, if you want to see it, I suggest you go there, because I haven't seen anybody like in my shade range use it and reviewed it except for her. So, you know, I highly recommend that. The next one that I'm going to talk about, is the Ulta full coverage concealer. I recently hauled this concealer. It is in the shade Deep Warm. This is exact for me to cover my eyebrows, so when I go back to the States in October, I'm definitely gonna get the lighter shade so I can highlight under my eyes with it, because I like the consistency of it. The applicator is good. It's the flat doe foot applicator like the Urban Decay, so you get maximum amount of product out of it. And this was cheap. This was like $7 or $8, which is like half the price of a Sephora concealer, you know. Yeah, well, as I mentioned, Sephora. Let me just talk about it. This is it here. This is the Bright Future Gel Serum Concealer, and I'm in the shade 13 Creme Caramel. This is my exact shade for carving out my eyebrows. If I want to highlight, I'd have to use 12 Pecan, you know, which has a little more yellow in it, which is good for highlighting and stuff like that. What I hate about this concealer is the applicator. No lie, this is the most retarded applicator you have would ever come across. Instead of swiping, you have to dot it on, and because of that, this is not the ideal foundation to use when you're getting ready in the morning for school or work, because you do have to take a little more time to apply product on your face, and I don't have that kind of time, just saying. So, but the actual product itself is really good. It's very good. It's comparable to the Urban Decay and the NARS Radiant Creamy. So if you're interested but you don't want to spend as much as those, this is one you could look into if you can access Sephora, because I know a lot of the Caribbean people no longer accept Sephora no longer accept international credit cards. I don't know why. I have been shopping from Sephora online for years, and when they did that, it just broke my heart. So like, I have to use either gift cards to buy my stuff, or just when I'm traveling, just stock up then, you know. So if you want to try this and you can get this, try this. Excuse. The next one I'm going to talk about is the Tarte Shape Tape. I recently hauled this in my last haul video, and this is in the shade Tan. This is Tarte. The applicator on this bad boy is insane. Like, look at that. That is huge. That could do some serious damage. But again, the product, you just need one swipe with this brush to cover your entire face, and the product blends out so beautifully. It's full coverage, so if you have problematic skin, uneven skin, you know, skin that has a lot of blemishes, and you want to like really conceal, you can take a look at this. This is one of the more cheaper high-end ones. I think this costs $24 US, you know. Again, Tarte is a little limited on shade range, so I think anybody beyond a certain shading mark is going to get difficulties in finding a concealer that was compatible to their skin tone, which is very unfortunate, because this is a particularly good concealer. So I mean, Tarte, you guys really need to like step that shit up, seriously. Okay, the next high-end concealer I'm going to talk about is the Urban Decay Naked Skin Concealer. This concealer is thebomb.com. I am in the shade medium dark neutral. There's like medium dark warm, but I find it to be a little too yellow for me, which is funny because I have a strong yellow undertone. But it's just too yellow. But this one is just great. Again, what sets this concealer apart from a lot of the other concealers is the applicator. The applicator on this is like thebomb.com. See how flat it is? This holds so much product. Like, I just need this one to do my entire face, like swipe, and I don't have to dip, so this lasts me very long. And this is like since this came out, this is probably my 4th tube, but I love this, and it blends like a dream. It does not crease, it does not budge. Yeah, And my last high-end concealer is NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer, and I'm in the shade Medium Dark 1 Biscuit. This, oh my god, what can I say about this? This is like the bomb.com. The applicator is good, but not as good as the Urban Decay applicator. But what this foundation, hear me, foundation, keep saying foundation, what this concealer has over like the Urban Decay is the shade range. The shade range of the NARS concealers is insane. Like, they really cater for women of color. So down to the deepest of shades, you will get a concealer to match you on point, to highlight you on point. No lies, no lies. I mean, spend your little coinage, but it's worth it. And it has this brightening effect to it. They really lie when they say it's a radiant, and it's very creamy. So you have to kind of like work it a little bit in terms of the consistency. It's a bit thicker than the Urban Decay, but the coverage is on point, you know. And what I like about this concealer, it has a good yellow undertone, so I don't even need a yellow color corrector to give it an extra boost of brightening. This alone, this by itself, alright babe, just know, this by itself is the bomb.com. Now you all would realize that the one concealer I did not feature, did not show in this, is the MAC Pro Longwear Concealer. I did have it. I was in the shade NC42. I hated that concealer. Sorry, I know all the MAC sycophants out there, all they must be turning in all their graves, and all they must be saying, this bitch just a bad talk my concealer. She ain't bad talking. Yes, she did. Now, there are a couple of things that I hated about it, and because of that, I just had to get rid of it. I gave it away to someone who was like, okay, well, you know, I just couldn't deal. I couldn't deal. The first thing about it is it had a rather grey undertone, which I found rather strange because MAC tends to be somewhat woman of color friendly in terms of the shade range. That is one. Two, the blinking concealer comes in a glass bottle. Yay big glass. And if that shit rolls off your vanity, that is it. And that has happened to me. So I had to like go back and repurchase something that was brand new, and I was so livid, it was not funny. Alright, second thing, well, third thing, that was the second thing. Third thing is, when you pump, a full pump is too much product to use on your face because it is that thick, and you can't even use a half pump because of how it's designed. You could never, as careful as you were in trying to get a half pump, you could never get a half pump. You always get a full pump, and you're always wasting product, and that annoyed me to no end. And I hate wasting product that is that expensive. I mean, so for me, like, concealers with the brush tip applicator or the doe foot applicator is best for me because I can control how much product I want to use, as opposed to a pump that really did not cater for a half pump or so, like a little squidget. No, it was like it, and everything in the kitchen sink come out, and you'll be like, what the hell. So yeah, so those were my gripes with the MAC. So this is why you do not see it being featured with these, because I got rid of it. I don't particularly like many of MAC's products. Basically, that is my concealer collection, and you know, my little review and thoughts on, you know, the concealers that I do own. Yes, I don't own MAC. And for those who could not take the bad token of the MAC, as we Trinidadians say, y'all could rock. So just saying. If you want to see more collection videos, please let me know in the comment section below. I'll gladly do it. I have a lot. I could do blushes. I have a lot of blushes. I can do palettes. I could do a ColourPop collection if you want, you know, which are my go-to, or Anastasia or Kat Von D, anything, Lime Creme, anything. Just let me know in the description, well, not the description, in the comment section below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. I'd appreciate the support and comments. And if you haven't subscribed as yet, please do subscribe. I'd appreciate it. And until the next time, bye.